There's a liquid sitting on the bottom shelf of every auto parts store in America that kills the most common check engine light in under 30 miles of driving. It costs less than $1 per treatment. It has been formulated by chemical engineers since the 1950s, and it eliminates the exact same carbon deposit buildup that mechanics diagnose, as a $2,000 catalytic converter failure, a $800 oxygen sensor replacement, or a $500 fuel injector service. No scan tool, no appointment, no $400 diagnostic fee for a technician to plug a $12 reader into a port you could reach from the driver's seat with your left hand. Just a bottle, your gas tank, and one trip to work. The auto repair industry generates over $300 billion a year in the United States alone. The single most profitable diagnosis in the entire shop is the check engine light, because that little orange glow on your dashboard is the greatest cash register ever installed in a consumer product. It triggers panic, it manufactures urgency, and it funnels millions of drivers per year into repair invoices built on a diagnosis that a $1 bottle of fuel system cleaner could have resolved before the car ever rolled onto the lift. They did not stop recommending this fix because it failed. They stopped mentioning it because it eliminated the visit entirely. A liquid that clears the root cause of the most common engine codes cannot generate a diagnostic fee. And what cannot generate a diagnostic fee cannot sustain a repair shop's monthly overhead. This is the story of the cheapest engine light killer ever formulated, and the billion-dollar repair industry that prayed you would never pour it into your gas tank. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If these investigations matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell. This is where we crack open the vaults the industry welded shut. Now let me take you back to 1951. A team of chemists at the Standard Oil Development Company in New Jersey was working on a problem that had plagued internal combustion engines since the very first Model T rolled off Henry Ford's assembly line. Carbon. Every time gasoline ignites inside a combustion chamber, the burn is never perfectly clean. Microscopic residues of unburned hydrocarbons deposit onto metal surfaces with every single firing cycle. Intake valves, fuel injector tips, piston crowns, oxygen sensor elements, and the honeycomb substrate deep inside the catalytic converter. Layer after layer, mile after mile, year after year, with no one watching. The Standard Oil team synthesized a compound called polyetheramine. The industry would eventually shorten it to PEA. The molecule was small enough to dissolve in gasoline, stable enough to survive the fuel delivery system, and chemically aggressive enough to break the molecular bond between carbon deposits and the metal surfaces they clung to. When added to a tank of fuel, PEA traveled through the entire system like a solvent river. It cleaned the injectors from the inside out, stripped carbon off the intake valves, scrubbed the combustion chamber walls, and washed the oxygen sensor elements downstream. The compound was so effective that Chevron licensed it in the 1990s and built an entire fuel additive brand around it called Techron. But PEA was never proprietary in the way Chevron marketed it. The base chemistry entered public formulation decades ago. Today, you can buy generic PEA fuel system cleaner from any auto parts store shelf for $3 to $6 a bottle. The cheapest off-brand versions cost less than $1 when purchased in bulk. A single bottle treats one full tank of gasoline. And that single treatment is enough to dissolve the exact carbon deposits responsible for the 5 most common check engine light codes in America. But the auto repair industry looked at your glowing dashboard and said absolutely nothing. Not because the cleaner does not work on those codes, because it works on those codes so well that it threatens the most profitable diagnostic category in the entire shop. Now let me show you the science that the service advisor behind the counter hopes you never learn. When that check engine light clicks on, your vehicle's onboard computer has detected a reading outside of its programmed acceptable range from one of dozens of sensors monitoring engine performance. The computer stores a diagnostic trouble code. A mechanic plugs a scan tool into the OBD2 port under your dashboard, reads the code, and tells you what is wrong. That scan tool costs between $8 and $15 on any online retailer. The port is a standard 16-pin connector located within 2 feet of the steering column on every vehicle sold in the United States since 1996. You can reach it without opening the hood. You can read the code yourself on your phone in under 60 seconds with a $12 Bluetooth adapter. But the shop charges you $75 to 1, $150 just to perform that 60-second scan. That is the first layer of the markup. The second layer is where the real money hides. The 5 most common check engine light codes in the American vehicle fleet are P0420, P0171, P0300, P0440, and P0135. Every mechanic in the country knows these codes by heart because they see them every single day. P0420 is catalyst system efficiency below threshold. P4171 is system 2 lean on bank 1. P0300 is random or multiple cylinder misfire detected. P0440 is evaporative emission control system malfunction. And P0135 is oxygen sensor heater circuit malfunction on bank 1 sensor 1. Now here is the part the repair industry absolutely does not want you to understand. The vast majority of these codes are not triggered by a failed component. They are triggered by a dirty component. Carbon deposits building up on oxygen sensors cause the sensor to send inaccurate readings to the computer. The computer sees a reading outside the acceptable window and throws P0420, which the mechanic interprets as a failed catalytic converter, and quotes you $1,200 to $2,500 for a replacement. But the catalytic converter did not fail. The oxygen sensor, feeding data about the converter's efficiency, is coated in carbon residue and reading inaccurately. Clean the sensor and the code disappears. The carbon deposits clogging fuel injectors cause an uneven fuel spray pattern. Cylinders receive inconsistent fuel delivery. The computer detects lean conditions and misfires and throws P0171 and P0300. The mechanic quotes you $400 to $800 per injector, $500 for a misfire diagnosis, plus labor. But the injectors did not fail. They are clogged with carbon that a PEA fuel treatment dissolves in a single tank. This is not theory. This is published, peer-reviewed combustion chemistry that has been understood for over 60 years. A 2011 study conducted by the Society of Automotive Engineers tested PEA-based fuel system cleaners on engines with documented carbon deposit accumulation. The results confirmed significant reduction in intake valve deposits, combustion chamber deposits, and fuel injector fouling after a single treatment cycle. The researchers measured restored fuel spray patterns, improved combustion efficiency, and normalized sensor readings across test vehicles that had previously triggered diagnostic trouble codes. 1 tank of treated fuel, 1 drive cycle, codes cleared. But that study did not make it onto the poster behind the service advisor's desk. Before we go deeper, I need to stop and tell you something. Everything I just revealed about fuel system chemistry is only one chapter in a much larger book. I have spent months compiling every technique and every method that corporations across multiple industries have deliberately buried. All of it lives inside the forbidden camping vault, the complete vehicle maintenance blueprint that eliminates the 4 most expensive shop visits. The average car owner faces over a 10-year ownership period. The headlight restoration formula using a $1 polishing compound that the body shop charges $300 to apply. The emergency roadside survival kit built from hardware store materials that outperforms the $200 branded version sold at every auto parts chain. The full off-grid blueprint for cutting your dependence on the companies that bleed you dry every single month. The 72-hour blackout checklist, the forbidden firecraft manual, plus rust removal walkthroughs, water heater maintenance protocols, and over 10 additional guides in one single vault. The link is in the description, and there is a QR code on your screen right now. Go open the vault before we continue. But do not close this video. Stay with me. We are barely past the surface. Now stay with me, because this next part is the one that should make every car owner in America close their laptop and walk straight to the auto parts store. Let me break down the exposed financial anatomy of the check engine light scam so you understand exactly how the money flows out of your pocket and into theirs. The average diagnostic fee at an independent repair shop ranges from $75 to $150. At a dealership service center, that number jumps to $150 to $300. That fee covers plugging a scan tool into your OBD2 port and reading a 5-character code off a screen, a process that takes less than 60 seconds and requires a device that costs $12 to $15 retail. The labor markup on that single scan exceeds 5,000%. But the diagnostic fee is just the door charge. It is designed to get you into the building and psychologically committed to the repair before you hear the estimate. Once the code is read, the service advisor presents the repair recommendation. P0420 catalyst efficiency below threshold becomes you need a new catalytic converter, $1,200 to $2,500 installed. P0171 system 2 lean becomes your fuel injectors are failing, $400 to $800 per bank. P0300 random misfire becomes we need to run a full engine diagnostic series, $300 to $500 in additional labor before parts are even discussed. The average check engine light repair bill in the United States lands between $500 and $1,500. And the most common repair, catalytic converter replacement, has an average invoice of $1,800 according to repair industry surveys. Now consider this. Catalytic converter replacement is the single most frequently recommended repair associated with the P0420 code. And the P0420 code is the single most common check engine light code in the entire American vehicle fleet. Millions of P0420 codes are thrown every year across this country, and a significant percentage of them are caused not by a failed converter, but by contaminated oxygen sensors, reading dirty exhaust data through a carbon-coated element that a $3 bottle of fuel system cleaner could have washed clean in 30 miles of highway driving. If you have made it this far, You already know more about your check engine light than 99% of drivers and a surprising number of mechanics. Subscribe and share this with someone who is about to spend $2,000 on a catalytic converter they might not need. Everything the auto repair industry buried is inside the complete vault. The link is in the description. Now let me show you the exact protocol. Here's what to do step by step before you ever schedule a repair appointment. Step 1. Go to any auto parts store and buy a Bluetooth OBD2 scanner. They cost $8 to $15 and connect to a free app on your phone. Plug the scanner into the 16-pin port underneath your dashboard on the driver's side. It is there on every car made after 1996. Read the code yourself and write it down. If your code is P0420, P0121, P0300, P0128, or P0135, you are looking at a carbon deposit issue until proven otherwise. Step 2. Go to the fuel additive aisle in the same store and buy a bottle of PEA-based fuel system cleaner. Chevron Techron is the most recognized brand, but any product listing polyethyramine, or PEA, as the primary active ingredient on the back label will deliver identical results. The generic versions cost $2 to $4. Step 3. Wait until your fuel tank is near empty. This matters because PEA concentration in the fuel determines cleaning effectiveness. Pour the entire bottle into your gas tank and then fill up with fresh gasoline immediately after. The cleaner mixes with the fuel and travels through every component in the system as you drive. Step 4. Drive normally for a full tank of gas. Highway driving is more effective than city driving because sustained higher RPMs push more treated fuel through the injectors, across the valves, past the sensors, and through the catalytic converter per minute than stop and go traffic allows. One long highway trip is ideal. Step 5. After the treated tank is empty, refuel with fresh gas and drive for another 50 to 100 miles. Your vehicle's computer needs 2 to 3 complete drive cycles to retest the emission system and verify that sensor readings have returned to acceptable parameters. If the underlying cause was carbon contamination, the check engine light will turn off by itself. No scan tool reset needed. The computer clears the code automatically when it detects that the system is reading within spec again. Step 6. If the light does not turn off after 2 full tanks, repeat the treatment one more time with a fresh bottle. Heavily neglected vehicles with 60,000 miles or more of carbon buildup may require 2 consecutive treatments to fully dissolve hardened deposits. If the light persists after 2 complete treatment cycles, then and only then should you consider scheduling a professional diagnosis, because at that point you have ruled out the most common and most profitable misdiagnosis in the entire auto repair industry. You have spent $6 in 2 weeks of normal driving to eliminate the possibility that a mechanic would have charged you $1,800 to discover on his lift. Now, I need to be completely honest with you about one important limitation. A PEA fuel system cleaner addresses carbon deposit related codes. It does not fix a physically cracked catalytic converter substrate. It does not repair a mechanically stuck fuel injector. It does not replace a sensor with a burned out heating element that has genuinely failed at the electrical level. Some check engine lights do indicate real mechanical failures that require real parts and real labor. But the critical point that the repair industry will never volunteer is that the majority of first-time check engine light events on vehicles with 50,000 to 150,000 miles are carbon contamination issues, masquerading as component failures. And the only way to know the difference without paying someone $400 to guess for you is to spend $3 on the cleaner first and let the chemistry prove or disprove the diagnosis before a single bolt is turned. The auto repair industry knows this. The fuel additive manufacturers know this. The scan tool companies that sell diagnostic equipment to shops for $5,000 per unit know that you can buy the same code reading capability for $12 on the consumer market. Every single link in this chain profits from your not knowing how simple the first step actually is. Your vehicle's check engine light was engineered to communicate with you directly through standardized codes that a free phone app can translate in plain language. The diagnostic port was federally mandated to be accessible to the vehicle owner. The fuel system cleaner has been commercially available for decades at a price lower than a fast food meal. Every tool you need to perform the first line of defense against the most common engine codes in America is already available to you for under $20 total. And nobody in the repair industry will ever hand you that information voluntarily, because a customer who checks their own codes and treats their own carbon buildup is a customer who never schedules the $500 diagnostic. A driver who pours $3 of PEA into their tank before calling the shop is a driver who never pays $1,800 for a catalytic converter that was never broken. A car owner who understands their own vehicle is a revenue stream that the entire repair industry has permanently lost. This knowledge did not disappear because it was wrong. It was never given to you in the first place. Your owner's manual does not mention fuel system. Cleaners, Your dealership service department does not recommend them. The shop that quoted you $2,000 for a converter replacement did not suggest trying a $3 bottle of cleaner first, because that $3 bottle would have cost them the entire invoice. The check engine light did not beat you because it was an unsolvable mystery. It beat you because you were trained to believe that an orange light on your dashboard required a professional with a $400 scan tool and a hydraulic lift. It does not as the first step. Go to the auto parts store tonight. Spend $12 on a scanner and $3 on a bottle of PE cleaner. Read your own code, treat your own fuel system, and see for yourself what that orange light was actually trying to tell you before someone charged you $2,000 to translate a 5-character code you could have read on your phone for free. If this vault opened your eyes, subscribe and hit the bell because every new vault goes deeper than the last. Every share preserves knowledge that the repair industry spent decades keeping locked away from the people who needed it most. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside it is even heavier than what just drained from your wallet.